Greetings. This video assignment is for Sociology 324, the sociology of crime and violence. The topic I have chosen is police militarization. In this video, I want to outline this topic by discussing the supporting sources that define and highlight the use of police militarization. To open the discussion of police militarization, a definition should be established. According to the Cardozo Law Review, police militarization is defined as the use of hardware, tactics that are consistent with military-grade materials and concepts. Specific attention should be paid to programs 1033, which describe transfer of military equipment to law enforcement agencies, as well as Program 1122, which provides the means for the purchase of new equipment that is considered military grade. Use of this source material will provide a foundation in the discussion of how such equipment is acquired. Recent events, such as the attack on Dallas law enforcement, have created a media buzz around the topic of police militarization. The Sacramento Bee reports that law enforcement response to these types of events further solidify the reality of police militarization. Arizona State University's Michael Scott states, "It could take some of the political steam out of current arguments that police ought to give up protective gear and militarized weapons." The Sacramento Bee explains the de-escalation of militarization projection and tactics in Dallas since 2010 have caused social change in the form of fewer arrests, fewer complaints of excessive use of force, and fewer numbers of officer-involved shootings. So we see in this article that this media outlet has created a balanced perspective in regard to police militarization. Other social issues are tied into this article, including the events of 9/11 and the increased occurrence of mass shootings in the last decade. Another important point brought up is the impact from the 2008 financial crisis, a cultural event that depleted local law enforcement funds, while at the same time, the Pentagon still maintained equipment supplies to these local enforcement agencies. Here we see the direct connection from higher government institutions and lower level law enforcement institutions. So there we have it, connections to the financial institutions, federal institutions, and a further trickling down to local agencies. I would like to address stereotypes now associated with my topic, specifically in the media sources I have annotated. Since these stereotypes can create an unfair, biased perspective of a particular group or situation, it's important to identify these stereotypes so that an unbiased conclusion can be reached. It's also important to incorporate the existence of stereotypes in this discussion because it draws the connections to the topic and the social context. Stereotypes can be created by the misinformation absorbed from unreliable sources. To debunk stereotypes, an individual should conduct research that draws information from credible sources that serve only to inform and educate. The stereotypes that surround police militarization fail to make the connections that have been previously highlighted. The stereotypes could be created from observing media reports from war zones and drawing a conclusion that since similar equipment is being used, that somehow a domestic invasion has taken place. The events surrounding this topic of police militarization are researchable, and creating stereotypes only escalates the situation. Historically speaking, police militarization can be observed meeting the needs of the situation. For example, first use of SWAT teams in 1967 was historically significant as it was a reaction to the war on drugs, terrorism, and response to riots. These accounts provide a context of the historical backdrop and explain why law enforcement responded in such a way. While underlining circumstances may be present, it's important to draw connections based on researched information rather than gut feelings and emotion. To conclude this video, I want to mention the importance of perception and what power perception has. As we strive to interpret and hopefully solve the social problems that swirl around violence and criminal acts, we need to examine how perception fuels our way of thinking and our ability to make sound decisions. For the final assignment, I intend to discuss more in depth about perception and how it contributes towards my topic. Thank you.